And I took a quicker break than I was planning on after the ending of the previous
Ándale.
resolution work group uh, work that we did. If you are joining us for the Leadership Advocacy and Clergy Care Resolution work group pre-conference meeting, we'll get started in just a, a, a little bit. Thank you for hanging around and being patient.
Jim Mensa, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Bill. Hey,
Oh, how are you doing?
good, thank you.
Good, very good.
It's always good to see old friends, even on Zoom. And we are glad to have Jim with us. He was Rodney Dobbs for a second, but
Hmm.
he changed his name to so we don't get it wrong tonight. Um, Again, if you are joining us for the Leadership Advocacy and Clergy Care Resolution Workgroup Pre-Conference meeting, that is a mouthful. Thank you for joining us. My name, if you were not here for the previous pre-conference meeting held just an hour ago and ending a few minutes ago. My name is John Lucy. I'm the pastor of the Charlton City United Methodist Church, and I am the agenda chair for this year. Um, and I have been tasked with, first of all, discerning through the listening sessions that we held over the winter, uh, whether or not to implement this new process and then to implement it. So in the future, the agenda chair probably will not be involved in these pre-conference meetings at all. Uh, but we thought since we're starting something new, that it might be good for me to do a little introduction. This will take apparently about 10 minutes based on how it went in the first work group, and then we'll get actually started. But just wanted to be clear up front about what we're doing. And if this work group goes the way the first one did, it this will all take about an hour as we had anticipated. So the purpose of these resolution work group pre-conference meetings is to give every voting member of annual conference an opportunity to participate and especially to learn more about each of the resolutions coming before annual conference. The pre-conference briefings that we have, and you might have gone to the one last Wednesday. Those are great and to give us an orientation to what annual conference will look like and what's happening. But these are now an opportunity for us to go more in depth for each of the resolutions to make sure that we understand them and can begin preparing for how we might talk about and vote. These uh, pre-conference meetings are also an opportunity for your voice to indeed be heard on each and every piece of resolution, because when we get to annual conference on Thursday night, we will divide into the four different resolution work groups. Uh, at the same time, and unless you have figured out how to divide yourself into four different people, you cannot attend each of them. However, you can attend each of these pre-conference resolution workgroup meetings and participate fully. And also these pre-conference Resolution workgroup meetings give us an opportunity to practice in a way. This is new for all of us, and it also allows us to broaden the voices that are heard both at annual conference as well as broaden the leadership that is leading at annual conference, because we have four different opportunities to speak on legislation, and the conversation and the leadership cannot be all hogged by me all of the time. Now, if as I talk about resolution work groups, you are confused about what they are, let me go backwards and just say resolution work groups are um, work groups for the resolutions. So on Thursday night of annual conference, each work group will take up each resolution and work towards perfecting it and then vote on it. Any resolution that receives 90% or more of the vote will go on to the consent calendar. And whatever the work group does will then come before the whole annual conference. Now, again, you don't need to worry about losing voice in this process, even though we're dividing into four, because first of all, again, we have these pre-conference meetings that everyone can attend. And secondly, there is a process for removing items from the consent calendar or writing a minority report if you prefer. Both of those processes are explained at more detail at the pre-conference briefings. The next one is next Thursday evening. And we will also explain that process more at annual conference itself. And if you haven't heard, you can register for your preferred resolution work group when you go to the registration table at annual conference and get a pass for your group. Now, tonight is going to be led, once I'm done talking, by your presider, who is Reverend Jin Young Choi tonight, and our conference leader, Dan Ganant, is backing him up. But before I hand the reins over, I just want to be clear about what we can and cannot do today. We can share some of our thoughts, and most importantly, we can ask clarifying questions, but we cannot make amendments or even work towards making amendments to the resolutions that we have before us. You can say, if you make a comment, something like, if this were amended to X, Y, or Z, I would prefer that. That is a valid comment. But what we very much hope does not happen is that someone else then says, yeah, I agree, we should definitely make that amendment, because then we're starting to snowball about trying to make an amendment happen, and we can't do that. So let's not even go down that road. But again, mostly this is an opportunity, we think, for everyone to get clarification on what the meaning and the consequences of resolutions are, as well as, kind of the background information for the resolutions. Now, we've discovered that the chat function for you is disabled. We, the panelists, can chat to one another, but apparently the attendees cannot chat. So if you
John, John, just for clarity, everyone can chat.
okay, that's
Yeah,
been
everyone
fixed.
can chat.
Okay, okay, excellent. So Ben is saying that has been fixed. So excellent. If not, don't worry. We utilized a plan B earlier, which is you can just use the Q&A function if necessary. Um, I think actually Dan's test, because it looks a lot different. Before it was just to hosts and panelists. Now it says to everyone. So good. Excellent. So if you have a comment, use the chat function. If you have a question about a resolution, use the Q&A function. And if you really want to speak verbally, you can raise your hand, just like Galen just now did. Now, Galen, do you want to say something now?
Yeah, so it unfortunately seems that the most people still cannot see the chat.
Still cannot. Okay. So in that case, we'll just use So you can see the chat panelists posts, but it's disabled for participants. Excellent. So just go ahead and use the Q&A for the chat as well as questions. But if you have a question, please list the resolution that you are asking the question about. It will probably be obvious to us, but just to make sure, please list that for us so that we know. And again, if you really want to speak verbally rather than using the Q&A function, just click on raise hand like Galen just did, and then we can allow you to speak. So for the presenters, if you were not here before, if you don't remember, you will have 3 minutes. You don't need to worry about you remembering where you are in the order. The presider will tell you when it's your turn. You'll have 3 minutes to speak about your legislation however you want, just like at annual conference. We hoped that we would have time for the reports that are part of the resolution work group, but we discovered at the first go around that we're just not going to have time for those. So for any submitter of a report, apologies, but you will have time to speak to your report at annual conference before we officially receive it. Very, very last thing I'll say is that this is a new process. Whether we like it or not, please be patient with us. Please be patient with your presiders and with me, perhaps especially. Please be patient with yourselves and one another. Let's offer one another a lot of grace because whether the Holy Spirit works through this process or not, we are still called upon to strive towards loving God and loving one another as fully and wholly as possible. And we're happy to receive feedback to make this more effective and fruitful. So with that, all said and done, I'll hand it over to Reverend Jin Young Choi to lead us in this pre-conference meeting.
Thank you, John, for helping us to start with a good overview and very helpful introduction. So I think we are ready to start, I guess. And my name is Jin Yong Choi, pastor serving United Methodist Church Westford in Massachusetts. And I have companion. And Dan, could you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Dan Gannott, Wesley Church in Lincoln, Rhode Island, and I currently serve as a conference lay leader as well as local church duties.
Thank you. As John mentioned, I mean, we are all new to this new ministry, just starting in this year. Being new to something is not always a bad thing. It's a good thing because we don't have any pre-understanding and or prejudice. And so we now approach to this with fresh mind. I mean, yeah, we start something new, which is great. This is resolution work group 2, which is leadership, advocacy, and clergy care. We have 9 resolutions will be presented tonight. Interestingly, there are 6 resolutions will be covered by one group. So Board of Pension and Health, what is the health group? So then we are going to start with resolution 26-101. It's about New England minimum cash salary presented by Equitable Compensation Committee. And do we have someone from that committee to present this? Yep, please go ahead.
I believe that's Jim. Yep.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Jim Menser. I'm representing the Commission on Equitable Compensation tonight. Our co-chairs, Rodney Dobbs and Charlotte Pridgeon Randolph, were not able to be here tonight, so you're stuck with me instead. I'm sorry for that. Resolution 26-101 deals with the minimum cash salary designation for the New England Annual Conference. All of this comes out of paragraph 624 of our Book of Discipline. For those of you who are people of two books instead of people of one book, and that paragraph specifically says that it is the responsibility of the annual conference to make sure that every pastor appointed to a full-time position must receive a base cash compensation that's equal to the minimum salary that is determined by vote of the annual conference each year. In New England, in addition to full-time pastors, we also apply the minimum salary designation to our part-time pastors by prorating that number. So for all pastors that are under appointment, the minimum salary decision each year has an impact on all. If you're looking at the document itself, at the resolution, I would want to first of all take you to line 36 and 37. Each year, the annual conference is asked to vote on a minimum cash salary for the year to come, in this case, for the year 2027. And for 2027, the Equitable Compensation Committee is asking you to consider our recommendation of a 2.8% cost of living increase, which would mean a $1,400 increase to the minimum salary above that number that we'd agreed upon last year for 2026. I'll be honest that making this decision turned out to be harder than I anticipated because the committee collectively and myself individually were kind of caught between two poles. We're mindful that our pastors need to have a salary that provides a livable wage, and yet at the same time, any cost of living increase has an impact on the budget of a local church. If we're too generous in one direction, we increase the burden on local churches, or at least the responsibility burden, probably not a fair word. If we go too far in the other direction, then we reduce the potential burden and responsibility to the local church, but we've done so at the disservice of our pastors. So based on cost of living numbers that were available to us at the time that we met earlier this year, we feel that a 2.8% increase represents a reasonable understanding of what the cost of living increase would have been through the year 2025 into early 2026. And so therefore are recommending that percentage and that $1,400 increase. I then would direct you to the second page, and in that page, you're going to find a salary schedule for 2027, which simply takes that proposed 2.8% increase or $1,400 increase, and then adds that into the calculations for both our full-time and our local licensed pastors, depending on their years of service. And so you see that schedule that is lined out there. And so as we adopt the minimum salary, we are in effect also adopting this schedule as well, which recognizes that as our pastors increase their years of service, or in the case of local licensed pastors, as they receive additional education, that their compensation reflects those changes. And last of all, on page 3, I would refer you to line 22, 23, and 24, where we also recommend that the minimum amount for reimbursable expenses for full-time pastors in 2027 would be at least $3,700. If I remember correctly, this number remains pretty much the same as the year before. That's a guess on my part. I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't double check that, but if any change here, it is a very slight change. That really represents what I wanted to share with you today. This is a resolution which we have looked at year after year, so I would hope that a lot of this material is familiar to folks, and I certainly would be happy to try and answer any questions that those attending might have this evening.
Thank you, Reverend Jim Menser, for your presentation. Then I think you can put your question on Q&A platform, but we will collect those information and we will discuss at the end of after we all have proposal for resolution. So that's the order of meeting today. Then I'll call for next resolution, resolution number RS-26-102. Rental housing allowance for retired or disabled pastors. So it's from Board of Pension and Health Benefit.
Right. And my name is Ted Marcy. I'm a lay member of that Conference Board of Pensions, representing that board in Stephen Shad is the chair. This resolution is one that is presented almost every year, and it serves to allow retired pastors to use up to 100% of their pension and retirement benefits towards housing, which is a tax benefit. There are IRS regulations that need to be adhered to in that process, but one of the things is that the conference states that up to 100% of their retirement benefits can be used towards housing. And it's been passed on a year-to-year basis, but it has to be passed again this year. I don't think that this is a controversial resolution. So, I'm happy to take questions to it. And as I understand that those questions, I would address towards the end. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. I think the next resolutions are also related to Conference Board of Pensions 104. And that is the retiree health benefit credit. And this states simply that all participants in the conference health insurance program in 2027 will begin given 1 year of credit toward the retiree health benefit subsidy or health reimbursement arrangement contribution in retirement. Again, this is a fairly straightforward resolution. By participating in HealthFlex, it allows you to get a year of credit. So when you retire, that you have a ability to access that HRA contribution. So I think it's a one sentence resolution.
Yeah.
So I'm recognizing that the numbers of the resolution in the pre-conference bullet are different from than our numbers. The next one, if you want me to continue on, is of I think more open to question and that's the resolution on authorizing participation of clergy in Compass. This states that the New England Annual Conference authorizes the Conference Board of Pensions to enroll clergy that serve full-time at 100% in the 2027 Compass program. This is a new defined contribution pension plan. And to participate in Compass, all 100% full-time clergy need to participate in Compass. But what we further resolved is that the Conference Board of Pensions strongly encourages local churches with clergy who serve less than full-time to support these clergy pensions with an equal amount to equal to or at least 10% of their pastor's total plan compensation through the UMPIP, or United Methodist Personal Investment Plan. And I want to speak to that, and this request that less than full-time clergy be encouraged to participate in UMPMP came from the cabinet. And there are several reasons for that. UMPIP provides a lot more flexibility for the church, for the clergy member, and in a sense for the conference. Unlike Compass, there's no required 4% match contribution. The clergy receive the full church contribution regardless of whether they personally contribute. And these are part-time clergy who may not have the ability, or their arrangements may be different. Some of the part-time clergy have other employment. Some clergy may have student loans. They can pay down the student loans and still receive the church contribution. For the conference, it eliminates the conference liability that would be present under Compass. Under Compass, conference must pay if churches don't. The UMPIP program bills the churches directly. It removes the conference as the middle person for part-time clergy pensions. The benefits for the churches is that there's flexible contribution levels. The recommendation is 10%, but churches can adjust. And I think our conference treasurer, Lonnie Chafin, communicated they're kind of hoping that they would come to at least contributing 7%. So the added flexibility of the UMPIP program for the individual clergy, for the churches, and for the conference is the reason that we've recommended that less than 100%, less than full-time clergy be encouraged to participate in the UMPIP program rather than extend Compass down to less than full-time.
Thank you, Ted. And we have next resolution, number RS 26-109, about Affirmation of Preachers Aid Society. Also could be presented by you.
Yeah, I hope that's not controversial. This is again a standard affirmation. I will personally state that this past year, with the implementation of VIA benefits for retiree health benefits, Preachers Aid was absolutely instrumental and helpful in assisting in this complex and difficult transition. They were a real partner with the conference office and with the Conference Board of Pensions and myself personally in helping that happen. And so, as I said, I trust this resolution is not controversial. Preachers Aid Society has been, a real a gift to the conference.
Thank you. And next one, related to health insurance, RS 26-110, pastors, participants, health insurance.
Yeah. So, and I'm glad. So this one is in a sense saying again that we recommend participation through HealthFlex and WestPass program for individual health insurance for active clergy and conference staff with the health, dental, and vision plans offered through WestPath. There is in this resolution also that there be a default health care plan stated, as we have for the past several years, that default plan is a health account plan. It's actually a health reimbursement arrangement, HRA plan called C2000. It's complicated to explain this, but we made this transition from more traditional health insurance plan to this default plan because it really reduced the expenses to the conference for the health insurance. It's a default plan. People can choose what they wish, and there are aids to help them do this. But by specifying this default plan, we actually save the conference expenses related to health insurance. This is not a change from last year or the prior several years. We will, of course, revisit that again in the coming year when we bring resolutions forward again, whether we should change that default plan. But that's the meat of this particular resolution.
Thank you, Ted. And we have one more resolution by same body, RS 26-111, post 65 health benefit plan.
Right. So some of you may have remembered that I was in front of the conference to propose the transition from the group health retiree insurance plan to health insurance chosen for retirees through an individual marketplace administered through Via Benefits. That was passed at the last annual conference. We transitioned to that in basically as of January 1st of this year. What's different, this resolution carries that same plan forward. What is different in this resolution from the previous year is that we have included that post 65 active clergy also enter into the individual marketplace for Medigap, supplemental Medicare insurance, in addition to post 65 retired clergy. There are reasons to do that that perhaps are a little complicated to try to explain in a few minutes, but it simplifies things a lot, and the post 65 clergy staying in HealthFlex, there's some complications related to it. There's some effects on our costs related to HealthFlex. There's the aspects of Medicare premiums that are usually billed when you become 65. So the Conference Board of Pensions and the conference staff came to the conclusion it's best if we have a standard that all post 65 clergy be enrolled through the individual marketplace through Via Benefits into Medicare and Medicare supplement plans.
Thank you, Ted. I mean, definitely you have more time when we have a resolution work, Thursday night in annual conference, for explaining about this, and we can spend more time than today's informational. So, and still we can entertain Q&A at the end. So thank you, Ted, for your presentation of 6 resolutions total. Thank you. Then we now come to the point to have proposal RS 26-202. It's about create parental leave policy for NEUMC. So Verge, you are here with us. Could you share what you have with us?
Yes, I can. The resolution can be found in the pre-conference journal on page 66. This resolution was actually initially presented last year. We did not get to discuss it on the floor of annual conference as it was referred or tabled. And so there was conversation from the Board of Ordained Ministry about the financial impacts of the resolution. And so there was conversation between the Board of Ministry and the status and role of women. So essentially, this resolution creates a standard of expectation for family leave across all of our conference. And while there is a policy in the Book of Discipline, this is in line with all of those things. So this policy would ensure that clergy would all be able to access this for parental leave as they are welcoming a new family member to their home. The biggest changes with respect so the main points that I would like to lift up is that the resolution calls for 13 weeks of oh, thank you. Are you screen sharing, John, something?
Yes, we suggested it, and so we're almost done, but at least for yours,
Hey, there you go.
yeah.
So it's a rather long resolution with a lot of whereases, but basically supporting clergy families as they're seeking to live into their calling and expand their families, both for families who are having children by birth and families who are welcoming children through adoption or kinship or fostering. And so there's sort of different provisions, there's the provisions made for all of those different areas, which I think is really important. It applies to everyone regardless of whether they're full-time or part-time. The expectation is that it as is that clergy would be paid for up to 8 weeks of their salary. And we have added in unless state law provides for wage replacement. That was one of the concerns because we span 6 different states. There are different laws, and apparently, I live in New Hampshire. We don't have such things, but apparently, the state in other places supports maternity and paternity leave. Additionally, there would be funding available to assist churches in covering the maternity or paternity leave. And that money would be available through a grant program that COSRO would manage in consultation with the Board of Ministry, which has some funds available, at least at this point, may or may not be true in the future, with Preachers Aid Society, who's fully in support of this resolution and would be able to provide funding should that be needed, along with the cabinet. And these would all be things that would be worked together from churches, district superintendents, etc. But the idea would be to support people in this time in their ministry and to support the churches that they are serving as well. So that's sort of what I have to say.
It is long. I didn't have time to scroll through while Verge was talking, but just
Thank you so much.
read it, and that's the best policy, is to read it.
Okay, so we cover all the proposal for the resolution. John, do you want to spend some time for report? Or
It's up to you. It seems like the only possible reports we have is from Jim on equitable compensation. if he would like to speak to the report of that committee, because Claire Holston of the strategic implementation team is not here, as far as I can tell. So I don't know if
Yeah.
Jim wants
Yep.
to speak, or Mimi is raising her hand. Perhaps she can. She has a question or not.
Okay.
I don't know how to do this.
Okay. Mimi, yeah, you can go ahead for your question or any
Thank you. I'm
comment.
Mimi Wood
Yep.
McGee, and I am with Preachers Aid Society.
Mhm.
And just kind of a across the board question regarding what was shared about minimum salary, the move towards a PIP, 10% position, and the way that the health insurance is moving around. It all makes a lot of sense. One, in getting access into people's hands, and then two, that cost is this big challenge that we're continually grappling with. But there's a lot of unmet opportunities that I see at times regarding the clergy. Like, for example, low-income clergy, those that are either part employed or even full employed with certain conditions, family size, et cetera, that put them in a situation, and especially our retired clergy with their incomes in retirement, that put them in categories where they might very well qualify for things like Medicaid. And there's no trigger mechanism that I can detect in any of this that one informs or educates people to consult state and or federal options, and or in consulting with via benefits in particular, to flag people that are such low income that they might even be able to take this burden off their plate completely through subsidized health care. So I lift that up as, is there a way we can work with you, and or, just, I know we're not problem solving, but I'm just putting that out there as a really significant question. I would say, in my very quick estimate, that 20% of our retired clergy could probably be flagged for at least a question about Medicaid and or other, non-marketplace healthcare that way. The only other thing that I would wanted to comment on too is, sorry, I lost my spot. That also that we have to really not lose sight that the marketplace. I'm a huge fan of being a licensed local pastor and part-time employed for most of my career. I've been on the marketplace since the get-go. But we have to really make sure we're not losing sight of the justice side of this, and maintaining a justice perspective for how people can access, do access, and have access to the marketplace, particularly via benefits. It requires technology. It requires comprehension and cognition. It requires that somebody is pretty much able-bodied, sight, hearing, and dexterity. And when there's a problem, there's really not a viable source for them to go to, yeah, they can go to somebody to maybe get an answer or some insights, but to transact. And this is what I'm very concerned about.
Yeah, thank you, Mimi, for sharing, thoughtful things. Jim, before we go to Dan, Jim, do you have any response to her from, or if not, then we can go to Dan. Yeah,
Or Ted.
yeah, Dan,
Mimi,
yeah.
thank you for your comments. And I think Nicole Hanlon and I recognized that there was a learning curve with working with VIA benefits, and with Preacher's Aid. I think your comments are very relevant and important. And I think we can work at doing a better job at communicating to retired clergy and their spouses about bringing up their specific situations that in terms of perhaps being eligible for Medicaid. We are also aware that some individuals really were not capable to work individually with the benefit advisors and needed assistance with that. And there are specific individuals where we realize that and are learning from that to be better advocates to make sure that family members can speak as advocates and work with the individuals to be able to get over the hurdles of technology. So thank you for your comments. And at conference, if you can, Nicole and I will be present, particularly at the Preacher's Aid retiree luncheon, to get feedback, to get suggestions like yours, and other times at the conference as well. So thank you.
And if I may say, it's not criticism. It was really an honor to work with you folks and to find a way. I do think we can do better, and I do think there's more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dan,
Uh,
yeah.
Yes, I do. So I'm on a personal privilege, I guess, is what it would be. Because I want two things. I want to thank Mimi and Preacher's Aid for your advocacy for our retired elders. It's an incredible work and a passion for you guys to support those that sometimes can't speak for themselves. So thank you for that. For all of these resolutions, or most of these resolutions, I want to point out that they're primarily aimed at clergy and clergy benefits. So for the laity that are on this call, I urge you to talk to your pastor about these. What do they think about these? Help you understand what they mean. Because I talked to one of my pastors about what exactly does this mean, because I was unsure. But remember, you are to vote your heart and conscience, not what someone tells you to vote. So if your pastor says, this is what I want, doesn't mean you have to agree with them. But certainly talk to them. It's a great opportunity to make that connection before you come to annual conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. So we have more question from one from Amy. So I'll read for everyone. A further question about Compass to UMPIP. Will the funds be combined or with the small amount contribute this past year just going to sit there and be what we have available when we retire? Will the new UMPI contributions be continue with previous UMPI contributions? So that question for Ted. Yeah, please.
This is in the Q&A?
Yeah, Q&A.
Okay. Let me just make sure, because I'll be better if I'm actually looking at it.
Yep.
I'm going to be honest that I'm not the best person about Compass. My sense is
Do you want me to take this, Ted?
Yep.
Yeah, if you can do that, that would be wonderful.
Hi, I'm Stephen Shad. I'm the chair of pension. Can we just read it again, the question, please?
So here's the question. Will the funds be combined or with the small amount contributed this past year just going to sit there and be what we have available when we retire? Will the new UMPI contributions be combined with previous UMPIP contributions from Amy Sotel?
So, I mean, that's a Westpath question. I don't know, but I believe the way that Westpath does it is it's like they do like the life stage, I believe it's called, where your funds are kind of like combined together, kind of like how, because people have what CRISP and all the other ones that we had previously, and so they kind of just merge all of that together between the different plans. So probably like everything that we've been told as a board is that UMPIP and Compass are like in the front end and how you fund them is different, but in the back end and how they handle the money is the same. Like, so from a conference church, whatever, how we move the money in is different, but the back end of the plan is the same, if that makes sense.
Well,
Thank you.
I guess
Maybe, please.
I think they've got me unmuted now. So I guess my question is, okay, that makes some level of sense. It's just that it seems like we keep bouncing around plan to plan to plan, and for us that are less than full time, we really, some of us are never going to make 20 creditable years because it's just not possible when you're less than full time to do that.
So
So
Compass and UMPIP are both they're not 401ks, but they're the nonprofit version of a 401k.
401(b)(3)s, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a 403b. So it's your money. As soon as it's put in, it's yours. It's fully vested, whatever happens. So even if you don't hit the 20 years or whatever, like that money is yours, whatever's there when you retire.
And they'll just mix all those monies together to give us what we get. Okay, that was kind of what I was wondering. They're going to mix the
Yeah, so like
results.
if you go to the WestPath site and you look up the life stage, like there's some stuff there about how they kind of do that.
It makes some level of sense. Okay, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Amy. And any other question regarding resolution presented today? Okay, I don't think we have any. And John, you want to take over?
Well, Verge is physically raising her hand.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Verge. Could you?
I'm
Yeah,
kind of
please.
old-fashioned, I guess. Well, I also had a question about the pension, and so I'm guessing from that the reasoning behind this is to take the conference off the hook for pension payments that don't come in.
Yes.
And
One of the reasons.
one
Yes.
of the reasons. Okay, yes. So the less than full-time people currently still get pension prorated like less than full-time people with respect to their time, correct?
I mean, the conference pay whatever money, if they work in 3 months or 6 months or a year and they make whatever amount of money, they will, yes, they have Compass money coming in.
Yes, no, my concern is this, is that I feel like as a system, we tend to take advantage of people who are working less than full time. And my concern is that this will be another way that churches will be able to not provide a pension.
So I please don't use the word pension anymore.
Okay, what
We
word
don't
would be
provide a
good?
pension anymore.
Okay, what do we provide?
A 403b.
Okay, so I should use the word 403b.
Yes, so we provide, which is the same thing as a 401k. So like in 2024, they voted to not provide a pension anymore.
Okay, so those of us who are not financial people don't understand the difference between that.
So it's defined contribution versus defined benefit. So
Okay, I do understand that.
so you know whatever you put into your, let's just, your 403b is your money, and that's the only way it grows is through the market, right?
Yes, but I put money, so I'm a full-time pastor. I
Yeah.
put money in and my church puts money in, and then the conference matches, or somewhere there's a matching fund for that.
The
So,
church matches that.
okay. So, my concern is that if it's not part of the requirement, because UMPIP would be optional.
So that is part of your contract that you sign with your church. So that is something that the DS, the church, and the pastor, when they go through your compensation, which is a legal document that you sign with the church, that is something that the church agrees to do.
Okay, and so I guess my concern is that there's not going to be enough. Will someone train the district superintendents
Yes.
so that they are able to make sure that that's
This is something that the cabinet and us have been in talking about for months now.
okay.
This was actually something that New York Conference is doing, and it was recommended that we do as well. And it was something that the cabinet, they've had a lot of hard time with halftime, getting halftime pastors, and some churches they're like they can't afford the 11%, but maybe they could afford 7% or whatever. And so they came to us because they were just having a hard time making appointments. And this is a mechanism that would allow them to make the appointments that they need to do.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Yeah.
Jim, please.
So along this continuous question about Compass, if we're going to be asking annual conference to approve a recommendation that local churches who have pastors who are less than full-time, have those churches make contributions of up to 10% into the pastor's UMPIP plan. I'm not sure I understand the mechanics of that. Since the UMPIP plan is only receives a pastor's contributions from salary. Now that may be a Westpath question, but I'm just curious as to mechanically how that works.
So Westpath would build a church, and then the
Yeah.
church would just send the money over.
So the local church budget could support that PIP contribution as opposed to the pastor's deduction.
So there would be no pastor's deduction for UMPIP. The pastor can choose to put money into their UMPIP, but the church, I'm not 100% sure on this. This is more of a Westpath question, but I believe that it removes the conference from being in the middle.
No, I understand that, but
And-
maybe Westpath is going to rewrite the document, because as it stands right now, UMPIP is only able to receive money that a pastor puts in out of by deferring compensation and putting it in their, in essence, their 403B plan. It doesn't. I'm not sure it provides for an employer contribution as well.
Well, I know that this is what New York's been doing for the past year. So I know that New York churches have been putting money in, New York Annual Conference churches have been putting money in to their pastor's UMPIP plan.
Okay, so there must be the
And-
ability to do an employer contribution that I'm not aware of.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Yep.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Jim. Okay, I think we are close to the ending, right? And
Yeah,
thank you,
absolutely.
thank you all.
So I will just highlight as we go that there have been some, we know that attendees can see the things that presenters have put in the chat. So just make sure you've noticed that, as well as some of the comments that are in the Q&A section. I'm just going to highlight Wee's comment as well, that Nicole Hanlon in your DS can also help as far as understanding some of these questions. The only other thing to end this, I would love for you to please don't use the raise hand. Just use your actual hands, even though we can't see you, because if you raise hand, I'm going to think you're trying to talk. But just wherever you are, you can do this and thank Jin Young and Dan for leading us, as well as our resolution submitters. Thank you all very much. And if you're wondering who these other people are on the screens that didn't talk, some of them are the resolution workgroup leaders who will also be helping. They just aren't the presiders, so they weren't leading. And so we thank them as well. Pre-thank them for their work that they'll be doing at annual conference. But thank you to all. Thank you to Ben as well as our Director of Communications for making this happen. We do have 2 more of these on Saturday at noon is the Ministries of Body and Spirit work group pre-conference meeting, and then at 1 o'clock is the Administration and Finance work group pre-conference meeting.